Hi, Rusty. Can you hear me okay? You guys hear me okay? Hey, can somebody just in the chat just let me know if this is all working and stuff? If you can hear me okay and see me, make sure we ain't got no technical issues or nothing. Great, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, so how's everybody doing tonight? Thanks, Rusty. All right, well, welcome everybody to part 5 of Diatonic Scales. So hopefully you've been here or you've watched the reruns, so you're up to speed with what we're doing here. We're going, in case you're new and not quite sure what we got going on here. We're going through diatonic scales. So we've been doing the 7 major modes, like so the Aeolian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, and today we're going to hit number 6, which is Aeolian, or the natural minor scale. So, like I said, hopefully you've been here before and you're kind of up to speed, but if not, that's cool too, because the videos are there. You can go back and watch them anytime you want. So one thing that I had intended to show you last week, and I forgot, was, which is weird because there was 2 or 3 comments that should have, like, clicked the light on in my head that was something, to show, but it didn't. Anyway, a couple of you were asking about you wanting to be able to, like, cover the fretboard in a key when you're soloing, and that's what we're doing with this, So, like, and again, we're gonna just continue to be doing this in the key of G major. So just for the sake of space, but again, it doesn't matter what key you play it in, that the shapes are always the same. So we did Ionian, starting here on G, and then Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, and now we're going to be up here for Aeolian. So that's covering the fretboard, but what I think what you guys are wanting to see, and kind of what I've been talking about, is that you learn these patterns, but you kind of don't want to be stuck where you're having to, you're thinking about the fretboard this way. We want to be thinking more going across the fretboard this way, horizontally. So a thing that I intended to show you last time, I want to show you now. And this, you'll be able to play this right away if you've learned where we're up to at this point, because this incorporates the first 5 positions. So Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, and Mixolydian. And again, this shape, it doesn't matter what key you're in, it's always going to be the same thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to play 6 notes of Ionian. So just like we've talked about before, there's 3 notes for strings. So notes 2 and 3 are notes 1 and 2 of the next position. So we did that exercise, we did, we don't need to go over that again. We'll probably kind of touch on it later when we add in this new scale. But what it is that I want to show you is a way that you can start an Ionian and work your way across horizontally across the fretboard, and you'll end in Mixolydian. So we play those first 6 notes of Ionian, And now we're going to shift to the next position, which is Dorian. So again, these two notes right here are notes 1 and 2, so you know already where to go. So now we move up and we play 6 notes of Dorian on the A and D string. So we did Ionian on the E and A string, and now we're going to do Dorian on the A and D string. And again, notes 2 and 3 are the notes of the next position. So now we're going to shift up, and we're in Phrygian. Whoops. On the D and G string. Then we're going to shift up for Lydian. So here's our first 2 notes. This will be on the G and B string. Again, those are our first 2 notes. So now we're shifting up, and we're on the B and high E string. So here we're in Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, and Mixolydian. Whoops. Oh my gosh. Trying to play too fast, faster than my brain's working today. But anyway, what you can see by doing that, it makes a nice run that you can. So if you wanted to have like in a solo, like a fast ascending run or descending, that's a way you can do it. Now it doesn't just have to be Ionian through Mixolydian. So after you have all 7 of these patterns, you could start on Dorian and go up, that way, or you could start on Phrygian. You can start wherever you want because they're just going to overlap each other. Once you get up to the very top, we're kind of slightly skipping ahead here, but so the one we're doing today will be natural minor Aeolian here, and then we have Locrian. So again, these 2 notes are notes 1 and 2 of the next pattern, and this is a G. So we'd actually be right back, right where we started, but an octave higher. Okay, Rusty, I say this is above your head. So have you seen the previous weeks before this? Because this is part 5. There's 4 other lessons that came before this. Have you seen those, or is this your first time? By the way, too, I have the tendency to kind of talk fast and kind of go through stuff quick. So if you feel like that I'm doing that, just say, hey, slow down. I'm totally cool with that because I realize that that's something that I tend to do. So just for any of those of you who, you saw one other one. Yeah. So I really recommend that you go back through those and you learn the patterns. I go over each pattern in these lessons, and then, write them down. I mean, ultimately you want to memorize them, but if you just write them down for now, then you'll be able to utilize this. So here, let me see if maybe this will kind of help to make it make a little bit more sense. Oh, you've been playing for about a year? Well, so yeah, I mean, I don't know where you are, on your guitar journey, but we all have to start somewhere. And I've had students that wouldn't have been anywhere remotely near ready for something like this after a year, and then other people who were ready sooner. Everybody's a little bit different. So just quickly, just to kind of oh, hi Aaron, this is my first one. Will definitely start from week 1. Yeah, it really does. It does help. Or it's good. Sorry, I can't walk and chew gum at the same time. It will be helpful if you go back and watch all of them so you get the shapes down and everything. So we take the first one here, like I said, was Ionian. Ionian is just a major scale. It's just like a We'll just say it's a fancy name for the major scale. So that pattern here, we're starting on G, so this would be G major. But if we started on A, then it would be A major. It's the same pattern. It's one of the beauties of a fretted instrument. You're a glutton for punishment. Hey, me too. I'm a glutton for punishment. Sometimes I'm sitting here 2 or 3 minutes before this starts, and I start second guessing myself, thinking, "Gosh, I shouldn't be doing this and stuff." And then once I get into it and everything, it all comes around. So this pattern is 2 whole steps on the E and A string. Then you shift up a half step, half and a whole on the D and G string, shift up a half step, whole and a half on the B and E. So that's a major scale. So it's all 3 notes per string. So notes 2 and 3 of any given pattern are notes 1 and 2 of the next position. And notes 1 and 2 would be notes 2 and 3 of the previous section. In a way, it is like the pentatonic. So, like if you know the 5 positions of the pentatonic scale, there's 5 notes in a pentatonic scale. So when you do those positions, you just start over again. So like if you were, the pentatonic scale, the next pattern is going to start on this note, and then the next pattern would start on this note, but up here. The same idea. What we're doing in a sense is that we're playing in a key. There are 7 notes. So the key of G, what we're working with, is G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and then we're back to G. So if I play G Ionian, I'm playing starting on G and I'm ending on F sharp. Yeah, the notes go into each next box. I'll probably at some point do some kind of a lesson about that too. I did one. I don't really use the 5 positions of the pentatonic, to be honest. I have a different way that I do it. I use pattern 1, and then I use these different patterns that are more horizontally across the fretboard. I feel like it's just easier. It's worked for me, and I did a lesson on that. You'll have to go back maybe a couple of months, but it's there. Yeah, so if we're playing Ionian and we're starting on G and ending on F sharp, when we play Dorian, we're starting on A and we're ending on G, but it's still the same 7 notes. But now it's A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. And then, oh, you're totally fine, Rusty. It's cool. I like it. I would rather the chat blows up on me than everybody just being quiet. This is weird enough for me as it is, just sitting here talking to a web camera. So the more interaction stuff, it's cool. So, keep it up. We're actually here later on in this. We'll do a section where you can ask questions. I actually do a thing like it's called Stump the Dummy, where I encourage people to try to ask questions that I can't answer. Not that I'm an expert on anything, but it's just kind of fun. So what it is, we're just playing the same 7 notes. We're just doing it in different positions on the fretboard. And so that way you don't, you're not just stuck in one place. You can play anywhere you want on the fretboard. If you want some of the notes to be higher, some to be lower, whatever. Okay, so I want to move on. Well, actually, before I do that, does anybody have any questions right now about anything I've talked about so far that maybe could help, clarify some of this for you? Give you a minute if you want to. Apparently, there's some sort of a delay when you type in a question. It takes like 60 seconds before I see it, or something like that. I don't know. When you get this all set up, I don't remember. It said something about that there's a delay for comments, and I'm not sure why. So anyhow, let's give a minute. If anybody's got any questions about what we've discussed so far, lay them on me. All right. Well, I'm just going to assume nobody has any questions. If they pop in later, I'll get to them. Okay. So the shape that we want to look at tonight is the Aeolian mode, which is the natural minor scale. So we said a second ago that like we're in the key of G major, and the key of G major has, well, all keys have 7 notes, so it's got 7 notes: G, A, B, C, D, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and then back to G. So for every major key, there is what is called a relative minor key, and for every minor key, there is a relative major key. So the relative minor key is the sixth. It starts on the 6th degree of the major scale. So if you play the major scale and you went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's an E. So E minor is the relative minor to G major, meaning that it has the same notes, but it also uses the same key signature. So if, for those of you that know how to read key signatures, if you look on the where the key signature is, and there's 1 sharp, that's F sharp, it's the key of G major, but that could also be E minor. Where's my pick just messing with the other? Oh, yeah. I know what you mean. You drop your, I'm assuming you mean guitar pick. Drop your guitar pick on the floor. The carpeting in here is like the portal to an alternate universe. If you drop a pick, it just disappears and it never comes back. So that's one way you can determine what your major and minor key is. But the easiest way to do it is if you know what your major is, go down a step and a half. So G, we go down a step, half, E. And then the opposite. If someone says, okay, we're in the key of A minor, and you want to use a major scale, A, go up a step and a half, C. So C major has the same notes as A minor. And maybe I'll do some kind of a lesson on that, just kind of going over. We did a little bit of there's a couple, if you look back, that say boring music theory that you should know. I say that because all the time I hear people say, oh, music theory is boring. It can be, but it's also fun and cool and very helpful. Anyway, let's get on to the Aeolian pattern. So in the key of G, where G major, it would start here on E, because we did Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian. Oh my gosh, Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, and then Aeolian. So I'm going to play it here just to show you so I can identify the frets for you if you're writing this down. But then I'm probably going to play it down here because it's just kind of cramped up here for where I'm sitting. So it will be starting on the 12th fret. We have 12, 14, 15. So it's a whole step and a half step. And then when we go to the A string, it's the same shape. So 12, 14, 15. Then when we go to the D string, it's 12, 14, 16. It's 2 whole steps. And then onto the G string, same thing. So 12, 14, 16. And then when we move to the B string, we shift up a half step. We start on the 13th fret. It's 13, 15, 17. And then when we go to the high E string, again, we have to move up a half step. 14, 15, 17. So again, you're going to want to write that down. Maybe, it might be quick enough for you to now, so you might have to go back and watch it later so you can pause it or whatever. But that is the 6th position from the ones we've already been doing. Howdy. Oh, Blackjack. Howdy. How's it going, man? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah. So with this, you'll want to do, you want to incorporate the exercises like we've done before. So ascend Ionian, shift up, descend Dorian, shift up, ascend Phrygian, shift up, descend Lydian, shift up, ascend Mixolydian, shift up, descend Aeolian, and then do it backwards. So now you would start here, ascend Aeolian, shift down, descend Mixolydian, shift down, ascend Lydian, shift down, descend Phrygian, shift down, ascend Dorian, shift down, descend Ionian. So that way you're ascending and descending all patterns, and you're connecting them together. So so instead of just being like the little box, it's so more you can kind of move horizontally around the fretboard. So let's see what else we have. The 6-note one, where you just play 6 notes. So on and so forth. All really, really really good exercises. I mean, you're kind of killing a flock of birds with one stone. You're memorizing the patterns, and you're not only memorizing just in their shapes, but how they all chain together. You're getting, especially if you practice in one key. Now, I've said this before. I've probably said it on every one of these lessons, but I'm going to say it again. Do not always practice in one key. Don't just practice in G major. Now, it's fine to, when you're learning it, to memorize it, so that way you are certain that you're playing in the right place. But after you have it down really well, where you can ascend it, descend it, you really kind of know your way around it well, switch it up, practice in different keys, because you don't want to get, it's really easy to get stuck where you can only play in one key if you do it too much. I'm absolutely certain. Oh, I thought I was going to sneeze. I'm absolutely certain of this because I did it. When I learned originally, I learned all this in F major. So I was really good at playing in F major. And then when I go to play in a different key, I couldn't do it because I had inadvertently memorized where the notes were based off of the fret markers. You don't want that. So after you have it down well, then practice in, once you get it where you can play it in G, you can just simply, move it up, play it in A, or move it down, play it in F or F sharp or B flat or anything. Just kind of move it around. You don't have to continuously move it around. Like you could have it so when you run through the stuff practicing it, one day you do it in one key, and the next day you do it in another key, and the next in another one. Ascending and descending is the way my old teacher taught me. It's a very good practice routine. Yes, yeah. Some people find this stuff kind of boring, just playing up and down scales. But you really, you don't want to think about it like that. Because I mean, when you're improvising, someone's doing a solo, all the notes they're playing come out of a scale. So this is just giving you the knowledge to know where that stuff is. If you have it down, then you start working out, licks and things like that. And maybe that's something that we'll do in the future. Like maybe I'll give, after this is done, give it a 2 or 3 months and let everybody kind of get a chance to digest all of it. And then we'll start working with like licks that are based out of these patterns. Okay, so I'm just gonna play it down here in A. So now we're doing A minor. Again, the shape up here was for E minor, but I'm just doing it here just so I'm not so cramped. So does anybody have any questions about where we are thus far? Anybody? All right. So I'm going to go ahead and move on then. All right. So now what I want to do is I want to address something. This is probably the most asked question that has been on just about every live stream that I've done. At least one person has asked this every time. They ask, what's the difference between Aeolian, natural minor, and melodic minor and harmonic minor? And I haven't answered any of those questions yet because I wanted to wait until we, went over this one scale, so that way you have something to base it off of. So that's what I want to talk about now. Now, the melodic minor and the harmonic minor are not part of the 7 major modes that we're talking about. They would actually have their own separate patterns for degrees. I'm no black. Okay, well, it looks like, yeah, see, there was that delay. Maybe I should have given you guys another minute. So let me go back here. Ascending and descending. I'm no blackjack, but I'm still here. Guitaring for whiners. Oh, Rusty, no, I don't think anybody's whining. A lot of YouTube teachers out there, Darrin, thanks for one of the better, maybe the best. Thank you, man. 6, so I won't be in my speed today, but what I do, I'm going to be back on your lessons. All right, E. Parker. I'm not sure what the E's for, but anyway, thank you very much. I very much appreciate that. It's flattering. Probably pretty far from the truth, but thank you nonetheless. You have a rockin' night too, Blackjack. Okay, so and this is great. Again, thanks everybody for participating and stuff. It's a lot more. It makes it a lot more fun and for me to be doing this and stuff when there's participation. Okay, so again, the harmonic minor and the melodic minor are not part of the 7 major modes, but like I said, this question gets asked a lot, so I want to go over it. All right, so let's start with harmonic minor. So if you're not familiar with the harmonic minor scale, it's got that, when you hear stuff where it's that kind of Egyptian kind of sounding thing, that's harmonic minor. If you want to hear some examples of it actually being implemented into playing, if you listen to Marty Friedman, and if you don't know who Marty Friedman is, a fantastic guitar player. He used to play for Megadeth. If you ever saw them or saw their videos, he was a guy with the really big, huge, bushy hair. What's a good book for the scales? There's tons and tons and tons of stuff, but the book that I really like that I got a long time ago and I still have is called The Guitar Grimoire. It has the scales and a lot of stuff with music theory, but depending upon your experience level, when I first got it, I read it. It might as well have been written in Chinese. I didn't understand it. And then later on, I started to understand it more. But it covers everything. I mean, every possible, imaginable scale you can think of is in that book, Guitar Grimoire. Okay, so yeah, that Marty Friedman. So if you listen to the Megadeth albums with him, like Rust in Peace, Countdown to Extinction, he played Euthanasia. He played on a few, and then he has like some solo records and stuff too. And he uses Phrygian and harmonic minor a lot. It's really a big part of his sound. Now, I cannot play really any licks with these scales per se, because I really just honestly have never really gotten into using them and stuff, because I learned the patterns, but I didn't understand what to play them with. this, when you learn these scales, they really become helpful, you know, the modes, when you understand which chords are associated with which patterns. And I've kind of touched that on that in some other lessons and stuff, and I'll you know, continue to do that. But once you understand that, and it's really simple, then you can really utilize the scale to make it, you know, work for you and sound good. It'll, you know, fits with the sorry, train of thought derailed. Oh, it just makes them, they fit better, they sound better, because you're playing notes that are in the chords that you're playing over the top of. So the harmonic minor scale, yeah, sure, yeah, you can tell them that you learned, that Darrin taught you. That's cool. Funny, kind of a funny story. I don't know, it was like 5 or 6 years ago. I was at the NAMM show, and I'm walking around. Me and my cousin, bandmate, were walking around, and some guy comes up to me and he says, "Hey, man, I see you on YouTube. You're on Guitar Control's channel. I love your lessons." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." And he says, "Can I get my picture with you?" And I go, "Yeah, sure." So I stand there with him. My cousin takes the picture, and then we start walking. And I am not kidding. We walked like literally 50 feet, and another guy stopped me. Same thing. So we did it again, and then we're walking along. It's like maybe 15, 20 minutes later, a third guy stops. "Hey, I love your videos." And anyhow, he goes, "Can I get a picture?" And he gets his phone and he goes to hand it to my cousin, and he goes, yeah, I got the routine down, and took the picture. It was like really weird that, you know, go there and there's, you know, a million people there, and these people recognize me from this. Okay, so the harmonic minor scale is actually really simple to play. All you have to do is take the scale pattern that we just learned, the Aeolian pattern. Now, if you already know it, you'll be able to do this right now. If not, oh, well, thanks, Roger. I appreciate that. Oh, the Ripper. Okay. I'm a little bit slow. You mean the Ripper, the lesson, the Judas Priest one? Oh, cool. Great. Awesome song. If you already know this pattern, you can implement this right away. But if not, then after you learn it, you can. It's a really, really simple thing to do. The difference between the natural minor scale, the Aeolian scale that we just did, and the harmonic minor scale is that the 7th degree of the scale is flattened. Or, excuse me, is raised up a half step. So let me back up just a little bit. So if we take the major scale, the Ionian mode, and I'm not going to play all the way across the fretboard. I'm just going to play the 7 note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because now we're back to where we started, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So to make that into the minor scale is you just take the 3rd, 6th, and 7th notes and flatten them a half step. So here's note 3. We're going to flatten that to here. 4, 5, 6. We're going to flatten that to here. 7. We're going to flatten it to here. Versus, that's the difference between a major and a minor scale. So for harmonic minor, you play the minor scale, but you just don't flatten, or I guess it'd be easier to think of this way, is you take the 7th note and you just raise it up. So if you caught the first series from this, the first lesson from this series, when we did Ionian, we did the major scale, we talked about I think it was in that, or it could have been a couple of lessons before, but we talked about that each one of these notes, each degree is either what they call a major or a perfect. And then you have rules. If you flatten a major, you get a minor. I'm not going to go over this whole thing again. But anyway, notes 3, 6, and 7 are all major. So if we flatten them a half step, it makes them minor. And that's why it's a minor scale. So with harmonic minor, we're just going to play the Aeolian scale, but we're going to raise the 7th degree back up to a major. So when we do minor, it's here, but we're going to do it here. Now you can really hear in there that it's got that kind of, Egyptian kind of sound to it, It's a cool sounding scale, and like I said, I know the patterns, but I never really use it a whole lot. I can only think of one thing I ever did on the last album that I played on. There was a song that the guitar solo just ended up being, it had some Phrygian and it had some harmonic minor in it. Not a whole lot, but a little bit, just to kind of give it that kind of vibe. Because that Phrygian scale has that kind of a same thing. So anyhow, that, question I always get asked, what's the difference between harmonic minor and natural minor? And it's basically is that the 7th degree, if you raise the 7th degree of the Aeolian or natural minor scale up a half step, you have harmonic minor. Okay. So does anybody have any questions about that? Did that make sense? Did I go over it too quick? Like I said, I've been teaching private lessons since '87, and I'll still have students that I'll say stuff and they're like, okay, can you say that again, but slow down a little bit? I guess I just get a little excited and start talking too fast. So anyhow, since there's that delay, I'm just going to go ahead and give it a minute if anybody has any questions. Oh, and while you're doing that, another thing too, appreciate the, all the likes and the comments and everything and stuff that you're doing here. But if I could get anybody who likes this lesson and stuff, if you could do me a favor, so when we're done, and then there's the rerun on the YouTube channel, if you could go on and click the like button there and leave comments on that too, because all the comments that are here, as soon as I hang up, they're all gone. And it really helps me to know, helps the company to know that I'm doing a good job if there's participation. So if everybody could that, I would be much appreciative, because that helps to ensure that I can continue to do this. Thoroughly enjoyed your lessons. Thank you, Rusty. I appreciate it. I try my best to do a good job. When I, like I said, I started teaching in like '87, and I just did it part-time, along with, like different day jobs and gigging and stuff. And then about 12 years ago or so, I ended up having to take a medical retirement from like a day job thing. And so I just went full-time teaching and gigging. And then COVID, it kind of took care of the gigging part of it. But anyway, when I decided that I was just going to teach all the time, I was like, I don't want to just, do it mediocrely. I want to do good. I want to, try to do the best I can. Okay, so I don't see any questions or anything, so I'm assuming that nobody has any questions, so I'm going to go ahead and address that other question. So the difference between the melodic minor scale and the natural minor scale. So this one is actually kind of weird. A melodic minor scale is really simple to play, because all you do is take the major scale and you flatten the third. Everything else stays the same. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, if everybody, like, I hate to be them people that, that come on and they beg for likes and comments and stuff, but seriously, that, to be able to keep, to keep my job, I got to have participation and stuff. It has to look like people are digging it, So if you just take the major scale, the Ionian scale, and you flatten the third, so you put a minor third in it, everything else stays the same, and that's melodic minor. So if we were doing it here, here's our major third, like how it naturally falls in the major scale, like an Ionian. So we're going to flatten that note, but then we're going to put the everything else the same. So we've got 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which is the same as 1. 9 is the same as 2. 10 is the same as 3, so it's going to be flattened. And again here. So that is the melodic minor scale. Now here's the really weird thing about this. Traditionally, the melodic minor scale is only played the way I did it when you're descending. So in like classical music and stuff, just stuff, like very traditional old school stuff, they would play, if they were like, oh, we're going to do the melodic minor scale. Well, when they ascend it, they just play the natural minor scale. You remind me of Ray Wiley Hubbard. I'm not sure who that is, so you have to give me a little bit more than that, Rusty. But I hear stuff all the time. I get told I look like Chris Holmes. I get told I look like Jerry Garcia. Kind of brain fart. But I hear that kind of stuff all the time. So I don't know. It's kind of funny, I think. Especially the Chris Holmes one. Or the guy that just became the bass player for Megadeth. He used to play with them before, and then now he's back. James Labrie or something like that. I can't remember. But anyway, people kept mistaking me for him at NAMM that same year when the people were asking about the lessons. People kept like coming up and like thinking I was him. And I ended up seeing him, and I could see the reason, hair, beard and stuff, but I'm like, taller than he is by quite a bit. Okay, so what they'll do is that they'll play if they're doing melodic minor, when they ascend, they'll play natural minor. But then when they descend it, they will do the melodic minor. Which I always thought was kind of weird, and like talk about trying to make something, making something more confusing than is necessary. But that's not like you can actually play it ascending as well. The melodic minor scale is used a lot in jazz, and jazz guitar players will generally play it the same, whether they're ascending or descending, they'll do the same pattern. But I always just thought that was a really just strange thing that I was like, why would they do that? Now, the reason that the like the jazz guys like the melodic minor scale too is that it works well to play over a minor major seventh chord. So a minor major seventh chord, if you know your chords, you have dominant seventh, major seventh, and minor seventh. Those are your like the main ones that you normally do. So you have like a major seven, a dominant seven, and a minor seven. So the difference is a major seven is a major chord with the where the seventh lands naturally. So in the case of G, the seventh tone, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is F sharp. So if you take a G major chord and you put an F sharp into it, that's a major seventh. If you flatten the F sharp to an F, so it's a flat seven, that's a dominant seventh chord. And then if you flatten the third, then it's a minor seventh. But if you flatten the third but keep the seventh natural, That's what they call a minor major seventh chord, and that's exactly what this is, because we're only flattening the one note and everything else is staying the same. So yeah, like I said, that was a huge, like every week somebody at least one time is asked, what's the difference between a major, between harmonic minor, melodic minor, and natural minor? And that's it. So I hope that, I hope any of the people that asked the question are out there. That'll be, probably how it works, is that whoever asked, the people who've asked it in the past aren't here, but hopefully they'll watch the rerun and then they'll know. And I'll probably get asked that question a gajillion more times anyway. All right, so we are approaching the end of tonight. See, Snake Farm Cooler and Hell Screwer from Texas. Yeah, none of those ring a bell at all. But I'll have to check them out. In fact, let me copy that and paste it over here so I have them for future. I like getting I like getting new stuff to listen to. All right. Yeah, I will. I'll check that. Oh, thank you, Roger. I appreciate it. I just realized that there was stuff that I hadn't seen because I had to scroll down. So you'll have to forgive me. I'm not not super computer savvy, and I'm still getting used to doing this. Okay, like I said, we're approaching the end here. So now I would like to first, does anybody have any questions about the content that we went over tonight? And we might as well just get it out there now so you can start typing in your questions. Let's play Stump the Dummy. So I am not trying to imply that I know everything, because it's far from it. I'm a student of the guitar for life. I try to learn something new every day. I don't know it all. Anybody that tells you they know it all, run away, because nobody knows it all. But it's just kind of fun. We've been doing this for, the last couple of months. I've been doing this as Stump the Dummy. So let's get in a guitar related question. Don't ask me a question about the history of the Revolutionary War or something, because I'm probably not going to know that. More than likely, I won't know that more than a guitar related thing. So let's see if we can do it. Let's play Stump the Dummy and see if we can have any questions that you can ask me that I can't answer. I can't think of. I should like screenshot all this stuff, because some of them have been pretty funny in the past. Scroll down, make sure there's nothing here. It's time for new strings. I got a string here that won't stay in tune for more than about 5 seconds. Oh, thank you, Rusty. Appreciate that. So, Rusty, you don't got any questions we can do to try to stump the dummy here? Les Paul needs new strings. Yeah, I've the pandemic got me super lazy. It's not like I've ever been like extremely religious about changing my strings, but it's like every guitar I have needs a set of strings. I think the only one that I've got that has somewhat newer strings on it is the root beer Les Paul that I've been using in the YouTube videos for the last couple of weeks. But like this guitar, these are These are getting a little dead sounding. Thank you. All right. Well, it's not really looking like anybody wants to play Stump the Dummy tonight, and that's all right. That's all right. But if you plan on being here in the future, which, by the way, it's the same bat time, same bat channel every week, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And next will be part 6. I am probably the least talented one here. So, hey, Rusty, let me tell you something about talent. It only takes you so far. Do not be discouraged if you, because you probably have more talent than you think you do anyway. Most people are their own worst critic. But in all the time that I've been teaching, I've had thousands of students, and I have never had a student that was as slow of a learner as I was. I always just look at everything. I'm just a testament to practice. I feel like some stuff with talent has kind of surfaced more later on in life than it did at first. But I've had students that were really, really talented, and they picked up on everything really quick. And then they kind of topped out, and it was no longer easy. And then they had to put in the work, and then they didn't want to do it. Have you ever studied the work of Steve Vai and Roy Cooper in Crossroads? A little bit. When this is going to date me here, but when Crossroads came out, I went and saw that in the theater when I was in, I think it was in the 9th grade. And I saw that movie in the theater, and I was just completely blown away. I never even heard of Steve Vai. And I was just like in love with Steve Vai for many, many, many years. And I still really like him. He's an awesome player. It's just some of the music now that it's just not really my thing. It's a little out there for me, but he's a great player, and he's a really nice guy. I started trying to learn the dual thing, and I kind of learned it and had some of it down, but I could never really play it really good. And then I honestly kind of forgot about it. And then that movie popped up on Roku a while back, and I watched it. And so I am planning on sitting down and learning it, because I always just thought it was really awesome. Never discourage, man. I have to add to some degree. Learning is always pebbles. Yeah, I can understand that, Rusty. I've had students that I'm sure I've had a lot of them that had the ADD, ADHD, all that stuff. But I've had students that have had autism and Asperger's and stuff. And it's just a matter of figuring out what works for you. It's like when my private lessons, I don't use method books. There's all like, the Hal Leonard method books and all the different things. And I'm not saying they're bad, so don't get me wrong. It's good information, but it's not necessarily going to work for everybody. Sometimes for some people, you have to show them part A and then show them part B. And then some other people, it's better for them if they learn part B and then part A, you know what I mean? So it's all very up to, the individual. So you just kind of have to figure that out. Don't think that if you try to do something and it doesn't work because of the way somebody says to do it on YouTube, or it says in a book or something like that, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, because but it's you, it's you individually. So you have to just kind of find what works for you. And when you find it, you'll know. I hope that. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Well, and like I said, I'll be here. So it's every Wednesday, 7 Eastern time. And next week will be part 6 of this series of the diatonic scales. We're probably only going to have like one or maybe 2 more sessions, and we will be done with that. And then I gotta come up with something new. So for those of you who are planning on being here next week, I would think about like maybe what you think would be a good thing that we could do for some lessons, and then share it with me next week. I mean, I'm totally down for ideas. So yeah, that would be awesome if we do that. This like somebody said earlier that like I'm doing this for you guys. Well, yeah, I am. So let me know what it is that you'd like. What is it you want to do? All right. Well, I think that that's probably going to do it for me today. I would like to thank everybody that came and especially stuck with me through to the end. I really appreciate it. And thanks for all the commenting and everything. It just, like I said, it really makes it a lot easier for me. Before I was doing this, we were trying to do the live streams on Facebook in a Facebook group, and it was ridiculous. Sometimes I'd be there, like for an hour, and there was nobody watching. And if there was, no one would participate. And it was just really awkward and uncomfortable. And you guys have made me feel welcome and everything here on YouTube. It's really great. So, and then one last shameless plug is that when I hang up here, if you could go over to just the rerun on YouTube and click the like button there and leave me any kind of a comment down there too, would be really appreciated. And anyway, I think that's going to do it. So thanks everybody. I hope everybody has a great night. And I will I guess I won't see any of you. You'll see me next week at 7. All right. Have a good night, everybody.